everyone. This is
What's
Follow
up?
Everton.
When did they change the countdown music song?
Yeah, it doesn't sound as ominous like the
Yeah, I like it. I like
now
it
it's
much
like
better.
I'm about to get off a plane and there's a world of optimism and tourism at my disposal if I've got cash. It's a very different feel. I'm not sure if I like it yet, but we've got the same old Everton tune. I think it must be Ryan's saxophone playing. He never told me, but
Oh
we've
my
still got
gosh,
our regular jingle.
you're
But
probably
yeah,
right.
welcome everyone. It's I suppose a day of mediocrity and optimism. We're comfortably in mid-table. It's probably sun is shining. It's the penultimate Goodison Park fixture. Um, Hopefully, an opportunity for 3 points today, and an interesting switch to the lineup. So I'll get your response to this here in a second. We will have. I'm sure we've already seen some feedback in the comments about it, but this
Hold
is
on.
what we
Okay,
got.
okay. So I have not seen this. I have not seen this.
Yeah.
First of all, hey, good afternoon. Good morning, everyone in the States. Good afternoon to all of you in the UK. Yeah, let's get into it. I feel I'm so behind. I wanted to get up early today, early for me anyway. I was going to watch Derby County.
Mhm.
I wanted to see how Harrison Armstrong did and if they've been able to stay up. I wanted to catch up on all my team news. I've not been able to do
Mhm.
any of it. So I'm looking at this live for the very first time. I will say I'm still not looking at it. I will say my hopes for today is that we would see, first of all, Abdoulaye Doucouré getting put to the bench where he belongs, Beto on the bench where he belongs. I want to see young guys. I want to see Trimidi. I want to see Alcaraz. I want to see Urabunum. I want to see maybe DCL coming off the bench for a couple minutes since it looks like Moyes wants to see him. Okay, here we go. Shifting focus. Here we go. Pickford starting in goal. Patterson, O'Brien, Branthwaite, Mikolenko. So unchanged.
No shock.
Back there. Ghana, Garner. Okay. And
And
Dye,
Jai.
McNeil, Alcaraz, Beto. Interesting. Okay. So this to me says and Dye on the right. No, actually, he's been playing McNeil on the
Yeah,
right.
McNeil is sort of the inverted winger on the
I
right,
hate
typically.
that. My saying is Dwight on the right is shite. And
Well, Dwight
apparently,
on the right is like a roundabout. He just can't. He doesn't know how to exit. He
I
just keeps
know.
going.
Yeah, I hate Dwight, but I'm hoping he swaps them at some point.
Well,
Okay,
I
so
think this is
Ndiaye,
about right.
McNeil.
One goalkeeper on the bench. We have depth again,
What is
Chad.
happening? No, yeah, I see John Virginia. Okay, then Michael Keane, DCL makes the bench. Okay, Harrison, Trimidi,
Mm-hmm.
Ashley Young, Broja, Coleman makes the bench. Thankfully,
Mm-hmm.
Tim Arabunum. Who got dropped? Who am I not seeing?
Abdoulaye Doucouré is nowhere to be seen.
Oh
And
my gosh, you're right.
what we haven't heard is, was there any
Whoa.
injury? I saw this and was just trying to scroll through Twitter, see if the likes of Joe Thomas and some of the local Echo guys had any inside scoop, and you heard absolutely nothing. So it's probably a last minute decision because everyone seems surprised, and hopefully it's nothing tragic for him and it's just a matter of convenience and a tactical decision rather than injury. And kind of happy to see it, honestly.
I am as well. You're right. It's probably a knock. He probably picked up a knock yesterday in training or earlier today. That happened recently with Mikolenko. Mikolenko was dropped in a surprise pre-match announcement. So I would imagine that's the case again today. I'm excited about this. This looks good. There is one thing I would love to see in these final 4 games. I would love to see James Garner at right back again.
You
Patterson
would?
was just okay last year. I would love to see James Garner at right back so we can get an idea if he actually has a long-term future there. Because I think as a midfielder, he is mediocre and he is a
Mhm.
squad player in the future. But if he potentially fits better as a right back, I would love to see that so we can maximize his value. Any thoughts,
Yeah.
Chris, as you look this over?
I'm not opposed to having him at right back as a temporary fix, but I think the problem we have with James Garner was when he moves to the right, he can have occasionally excellent delivery, but if he's based on out of from the right hand side, he doesn't do it. He doesn't take on players the way you'd want to see him. For me, Nathan Patterson is that player we want to see in that spot. But James Garner, on occasion, and usually it's against a weaker midfield, which we'll get into Ipswich today. This is the kind of game I expect James Garner should be the man of the match to me. A disorganized, injury-ravaged Ipswich squad we should, in all honesty, be able to put them to the sword. They've been struggling defensively, even when they were at 11 men before the red card to, I think his name's Ben Johnson. They were really struggling at Newcastle, and then it was just a complete possession fest away at Newcastle last week for him. So this to me is Idrissa Gana Gueye, James Garner. They need to dominate this match in the middle, and this is where James Garner should be able to do a little more, because there are times when James Garner can boss the midfield, but it's only when he's not outclassed by the best in the world that happened to be in the Premier League. So this is the match where if he's going to do it in the Premier League, it has to be today.
Yeah, I agree. This to me looks like it's David Moyes trying to get a win. I can't see anyone on the bench that I think gives them a better opportunity to win this game.
I mean, you could have Michael Keane up instead of Beto just to shake things up as the lead
yeah,
striker.
He would probably bag a goal. But no, I think you would argue that maybe DCL, but DCL's not ready for full minutes yet. So yeah. I would say, I think he's trying to earn 3 points today.
Yeah, and DCL's trying to get himself back in the squad for next season, maybe.
Yeah. Oh man, we have so much to talk about, and good thing we started early and on time today. So let's go through the list. First of all, so Carlos Alcaraz is here starting in this lineup. Looks like he's going to be at our attacking midfielder, the number 10 role. Some really interesting comments from Moyes yesterday in his press conference. He was non-committal about his desire to want to bring him back. I think what David Moyes did was he purposely made sure not to start him, so we didn't fulfill that obligation, or at least meet the criteria to need to fulfill that obligation and bring him on permanently. But he's going to want to play him in a lot of minutes going forward. And we did get a compliment out of David Moyes as he was talking about Carlos Alcaraz. I like to try to read between the lines in these press conferences. That's one of the few looks that we actually get with the manager. And he said that he did make a positive impact when he came in against Chelsea, and he consistently done that in other matches. Yeah. So I feel hopeful. I know, Emma, we saw that I saw your comment and I put that up on the screen. Hey, Emma, good afternoon, up the Toffees. I'm hopeful that they've seen enough of Charlie Alcaraz, and they want to bring him back. Do you have where do you stand on Alcaraz, Chris?
I would like to have him back. There's a lot of the Everton players you feel lack an edge. And I heard, I wasn't on this one, but there was the match preview where it was Jan and Corey. They were referencing in video games, on football, you have like star attributes, and there's a few star attributes from almost every Premier League squad. And Everton have a couple key ones. James Tarkowski will win every single header. Idrissa Gana Gueye will deliver clever tackles. Dwight McNeil, on occasion, can have a world-class delivery. And then we have Charlie Alcaraz, who's got tenacity and that aggressive competitive edge in 50-50s for me, especially kind of breaking through the lines. So that, to me, is something that, and yes, we have that with Iliman and Jai as well. So now we have two players that can actually take on everyone.
Yeah, agreed. So that was just the one thing. That was one thing that stood out for me from that press conference. The other was obviously David Moyes and his thoughts on the current the corners, the free kick situation. Just the delivery has been subpar.
Oh, he was so frustrated with it.
Yeah, set pieces. I couldn't even think of the set. So yes, his displeasure with set pieces. So I'm thinking we'll probably see Dwight on many more of those today. And then what else came up? There was. I thought it was a pretty interesting press conference nonetheless. I was hoping that they would ask David Moyes about Liam Delap, and they didn't. Are you curious to see Liam Delap today? Is he in the Ipswich side?
Yeah, so we'll quickly go back to that. And yes, he is of interest. And I believe it was brought up, maybe it wasn't that press conference, but I thought he said something to the effect of, yes, we're interested in him, or we are looking at him. But the reality is you've got some big clubs that aren't performing or having problems up front. You've got the likes of Rasmus Højlund, who hasn't had a great season for Man United. You have Chelsea with Nicholas Jackson and not much else. So in terms of, how do you put this right? the big clubs that can splash the cash, we might be in for competition there. But we have Dara, O'Shea, I forget the guy's name, Wolfenden, and then you've got Cameron Burgess and Jacob Greaves as a back four. I think it's Sam Morsey, Taylor with a J, I forgot his first name, Amari Hutchinson, as a Connor, Chaplin, Julio, and Ciso, and Liam Delap. So Delap is starting, and Ciso, who is a Brighton player, I believe, out on loan still. Hutchinson, I do rate as a pacey option, and I think he could easily be repurposed on another Premier League side. But outside of
I
that,
like him a
I'm
lot.
not sure it's a very strong squad for them, and I can bring up how they'll look on the formations here as well. So I think we'll get something to the effect of, there we go.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I will say the two to watch for them are Delap and Hutchinson. I think Greaves is pretty decent as well from the few games that I've seen of Ipswich. This is definitely, we should have the better team today. They'll probably control more possession, but I like our chances in this one, Chris, just in seeing how they stack up. I noticed that our good friend Ben Godfrey is on the bench and not starting today. I was hoping that we would get to see some minutes out of Ben Godfrey.
Maybe we hold off and then we give him an awkward applause at about 70 minutes. When he comes
I don't know
off.
if he deserves. I don't even know if he deserves an awkward one, but maybe a head nod. Maybe if anybody's walking into Goodison, just give Ben Godfrey.
I'm not gonna say I'm disappointed. Like, he may not have been up to the level we want, but I'm not gonna say Ben Godfrey. He's not a Mason Holgate. Okay, I have a different feeling towards how he performed and represented himself at Everton. He actually did a job in the second half of last season. Yeah, to say he could press on and be an attacking menace. No, but I think he was actually quite impactful at times for us. So I'm not going to say I wouldn't clap if he was there. I'm just not saying I would give him a standing ovation like a Richarlison.
Yeah, I agree. He did serve a purpose. He was useful at times last year, especially when he was able to move over and play right back. Great athlete. Probably shouldn't have been playing football, but yeah, great athlete. Seems like a nice guy as well. Could have been a hell of a boxer, an absolute hell of a boxer, if you remember those clips from last season. I am looking to see what happened in the championship this morning. Do we know? Have you seen any of that?
So I can do some score updates for you there briefly, but I believe sounds like Luton may have gone down according to Mark.
Oh, okay. I just saw that. Yeah, please send your updates in the comments. Corey, I see you.
Yeah, I can quickly talk to it because some games have gone through. So the early fixture, we had Bristol and Preston draw 2-2. Burnley beat Millwall. Coventry beat Middlesbrough. Derby and Stoke drew 0-0. Cardiff already down and lost to Norwich 4-2. Leeds beat Plymouth, so I think Plymouth are also down then. So let me pull up the table quickly, and then we'll go back to Premier League chat.
So Derby needed to
Plymouth, Luton, and Cardiff are all down.
Yeah, I was following this only because of Harrison Armstrong, but I know that Derby needed to, if they drew today, then Hull City needed to not win, and it looks like Hull City also drew.
Yeah, Hull, Preston, and Derby appear to have just stayed up. Luton, Plymouth, and Cardiff made the drop down to League One.
Okay, I'm gonna go look at the table. Championship. Man, Google, come on. This is bad television. My apologies, everyone.
I mean, if you want me to show it, I can, but it's otherwise I've got too many things going on. I've got to
no. It's okay. No, but
I've got the Premier League squad. Yeah, it's just too much going on.
So anyway, back to
got a point. Oh, sorry.
Back to the match today. Yeah, I'm very curious about the approach that David Moyes will take. He's often wanted to push Element Ndai higher, and essentially leave, his right winger, in a more reserved role. That way, it allows him to play a back three of Jacob Bryan, Tarkowski, and Branthwaite, with that option not available. I'll be very curious to see how he handles this match today, especially I think since he's going to want to be out on the front foot and attacking this Ipswich side. Do you see there being any approach or any change in approach from David Moyes today?
What I would imagine, well, if tactic number one is give Ipswich the ball, and we get the ball off them, catch them a little off guard. You have Beto just running in straight lines. Charlie Alcaraz and Njai try and feed him. I don't think it's going to be that kind of game. I think it's going to be, we're going to have more possession than them, and it's going to be kind of awkward. James Garner and Idrissa Gana Gueye are going to have a lot of the ball in the middle, or potentially we've got a lot of just passing across the back and not sure how to break them down. And at some point, we're going to have a set piece kind of break open the game, or Ipswich try and open up a little bit and get caught off guard after maybe 30 minutes. I see it being a little bit slow at the beginning, but there's also the opportunity today with a squad that's struggling with Ipswich, and they're not even putting Ben Godfrey on the in the starting lineup. I also saw that too. So, and I think they've got a new keeper because they had the Burnley keeper from last season in there until recently. So they've got a whole series of problems at the back. But Everton haven't been prone to breaking teams down. If we find the secret recipe, and I think it would be through James Garner, likely in the middle, or maybe Charlie Alcaraz against a slightly weaker opposition, cutting through, and then Jai on form, all of a sudden, this could be a blowout. But I don't want to guarantee that because this is also the recipe of the most annoying 0-0 draw that we just can't break down a relegated squad. But there's a recipe here that this could be a blowout. I just don't know what to expect from some of these, the Garners, the Charlies, the Ellerman and Jai, or just Dwight McNeil getting back into full fitness. If any of those guys are playing to their potential, this is a walk in the park. But if that happens, that's a different question.
Yeah, interesting. I think we'll see Everton. Oh, there we go, Kevin. I hope that's the result.
Yeah, that certainly could happen, but I don't want to get my hopes up because there've been some disappointing results. I remember you and I did a pre-match against Fulham where I said, "No, we'll like draw 1-1 and it will feel like a consolatory point. We're happy with it." There've been a lot of those kind of games for us, and we haven't had great wins or big wins.
I think I'm mostly looking forward.
But we haven't had like huge scores.
No, we haven't had like a few definitive wins every year. It seems like we should at least get 2 or 3 of those statement wins every year, and I can't think of many of those this season. I know probably the Nottingham Forest game is our best game of the season, but that was still just a 1-0. So no, I can't think of any blowout statement wins for us this year off the top of my head.
We beat Ipswich 2-0 at Portman Road. That was about as solid a result as I can really think of.
Mm-hmm.
Or in terms of just, I'm sure we've had a couple blowout. It's been a long season, but irrespective of that, I think there is going to be goals today.
Remember the.
It just may take a little bit to break it open.
Remember the game against Brighton? Was it last season when like Dwight even walked in a goal?
That was a couple seasons back. That's when Iwobi wore the hot pink right midfield spot, and it was him and Dwight.
I feel like we're good for one. I feel like we're good for 1 or 2 of those, like once or twice a season, once or twice a season. I can't remember us having many of those this year, though.
Yeah, not this year. We've had a couple against Crystal Palace where it was comfortable. We had when Bournemouth under Areola when he just came over, where there was just some terrible performance from them, and we won, I think, 3-0. But typically, we haven't had big blowout performances. And if it isn't against Southampton, maybe we get the ball rolling today. But we don't have the right to be too smug about us blowing any team out of the water. We have to be very careful here because, look, Ipswich, you have to give credit where credit's due. They did a double promotion, a bit like the inverse of what Luton are doing right now to get to this position. They gave it a fair go, and the Premier League, once every club is set in stone financially, it's looking really tough to crack in. But they gave it a good shot and were looking pretty good at times early, especially with Leif Davis and then Delap, as we know. So they have a few weapons. Granted, Delap, it's only Delap with Leif Davis out. So they could certainly give us a bit of a bloody nose. I think when Delap played against Everton at Portman Road, though, we comfortably handled him. So if that's going to be the same today and he's not in as good a form as he was mid-season, maybe that's a positive as well.
Mhm. So I found the two. We have Wolves 4-0, and I think that
Oh,
was
yes.
where Wolves had 2 own goals.
2 on goals. Yep.
And then the Leicester 4-0 as well. And Leicester looked like they were on the beach. They did not want to be there.
Yeah, they were on a military beach that they were getting destroyed. They weren't like passive.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I think my hope for today is this to me looks like a lineup, a setup that will attack aggressively on the counter. So that's exactly what Charlie Alcaraz does. Dwight McNeil is actually great at pushing pace in those instances, as we saw in the winter against Forest. Iliman Ndiaye, we know he can get up and down the pitch. So that to me looks like that could be the tack that David Moyes is going to try to follow today. Do we have any other predictions? Oh, Dixon not ready at all. Corey, is that you? You want to jump in with us, bud?
Dixon, I remember him saying he was a bit sick yesterday, so I would imagine he's just resting up.
We'll give him the time off then. He's been great going at a championship team at a right wing back. Actually think Derby would be another good place for him to go. We might be sending a couple players to Derby again next year if that relationship is
I don't mind the one-way street. I'm not sure we're going to get anyone from Derby the other way right now. If we could do a good working relationship with West Brom and get Tom Fellows out of it, that would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I'd be curious to know where he is on the list. The fun thing about going into the summer is I feel like it's a total mystery because all the names that have been leaked to the media over the course of a year or two, all the Willie Natos, we know all of those names, those were all probably coming out of Kevin Thelwell and that entire staff. And then now we know that staff is all but gone, especially with the announcement this week that our director of recruitment, I can't recall his name.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. That he is leaving the club.
Yep.
So
that was an unexpected one. So that's not a convenient situation because I think he was meant to be part of the transition team and he left.
Yeah, that's curious. I wonder if do we know if it's for another job offer or
not yet. I was reading through Paddy Boylan's coverage on The Athletic, and he didn't mention anything on that. But give it time, and that's usually that's going to be a new role for someone, or it's like change of leadership, and they feel like they're halfway out the door.
Well, then that to me says that he is either going to follow Kevin Thelwell to Rangers,
to Ibrox, or at Rangers,
or wherever he did. Is Kevin Thelwell locked in there yet? Has that
I
been
thought
announced?
He was.
So I would imagine
wrong, anyone in the chat correct, but I'm pretty sure he's
he will be following Kevin Thelwell, or he just doesn't see eye to eye with David Moyes and wants to explore other opportunities. So
or he's not, or he doesn't like the new recruitment or the new team that's coming in from Leeds.
Possibly, yeah. He might not see football in the same way that Angus Kinnear does. Well, we'll see what happens. I've come to the point now where I think I trust the Friedkins thoroughly.
The frequency group.
I trust the frequencies. I trust the Friedkins. At this point, they've seemed to be making really sound decisions in the way that they're building the team, rounding out the entire ownership group. We had 2 announcements this week, highlighted by the Jason Kidd announcement. He will be a very, very minor player. We may never even hear his name again.
Well, isn't he still he's like the head coach? So what is he doing in football when he's the basketball coach? How do you do both, Chad? Like
this happens. Yeah, I'll go off on this real quick. So I was listening to several Toffee podcasts this week, and it seemed like everyone was feeling about the same thing. We don't know a lot about this guy. I don't know what value he brings. He, maybe a winning mentality, maybe some professionalism. The truth is, you're all thinking about it too much. Like this happens all the time in American sports, where very, very rich owners will cut off a very small piece of the pie for celebrities, either in entertainment or in sport.
Yeah,
and just so
Tom Brady was the other one. He's been involved. Football Birmingham.
He's at Birmingham.
Same kind of thing.
But Ryan Reynolds is the outlier here. He is a majority shareholder with Rob McElhenney at Wrexham. They are the outliers. The norm is for instance, I live in Ohio in the States. Usher, the singer, the R&B singer, has a very minor stake in the basketball team in Cleveland, Ohio. That is just Jay-Z has a very minor stake in the Brooklyn Nets. Like, it is mostly there to generate publicity, get some media coverage. It essentially, maybe at some point they are, shot.
But you don't want to bring in Chris Brown because he'll run it.
No, jeez, Chris. But yeah, the idea is that, you get LeBron James wearing a Liverpool hat every once in a while, and you get some social media likes out of it. But Jason Kidd,
Beto's been trying to get the LeBron vote, hasn't he? He's doing the moves.
I don't know
when he scores.
I don't know. Yeah, he's doing the pounding of the chest. Jason Kidd was a very good NBA player in the 90s and early 2000s.
New
now
Jersey
the head
Nets,
coach.
I think.
What's that?
Was he New Jersey Nets back in the day? Was that them?
He bounced around. He played for the Phoenix Suns, the New Jersey Nets, had his most success with the Nets. Dallas Mavericks is where he started his career. So he's the head coach with the Dallas Mavericks now. And we'll see. Yeah, I don't think we'll hear from Jason Kidd ever again, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah. So
but my point was, before I went out on a Jason Kidd tangent, I'm very bullish and excited about the way the Freakins are approaching this. Angus Kinnear is a real dude. He's a real football guy. He's going to have this organization set up the right way. The Freakin group is going to be able to invest capital into this team. And now we just need to make sure David Moyes is able to pick the right players. So I'm pretty excited about what the future holds. I'm looking forward to the summer. I'm looking forward to seeing what direction this team goes. There's just a lot to look up to.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much to Diddy, so I'll leave Emma's comment to the side.
Oh, is there a Diddy comment?
There's positivity, but there's a lot of uncertainty on where this goes for me in the off season, and it's all really high level and broad, saying it's it's more like a CEO to make the decisions, not a true director of football. It seems kind of vague, pie in the sky. In Friedkins we trust, but we haven't seen its vibes at the moment. We can't talk to it because we're not inside their organization to tell you more. So we have to have a little bit of blind hope and optimism that it's different. But I don't want to get too excited too early because there's so much to do from a player recruitment, what have you. But that can be usually where we talked on every post-match when we don't win. Hopefully that isn't the case today. We'll get a few more score updates in here as well. But I did see some comment from Mark, for example. I think this is huge. If we get a goal early, this game gets cracked wide open. But if it's like 0-0, 40 minutes in, I could see a bemoaned, groaning Goodison and Ryan just like wanting to rant for 45 minutes. Maybe he'll have a saxophone in hand at a wedding or something as a wedding singer and just interrupt and be like, no, we need to talk about how frustrating this was. There is a chance that kind of result happens today. I really don't want it to happen. I want us to just blow some teams out of the water while we're still at Goodison.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think Goodison has the potential to be rocking today. If there was an early goal, I could see that setting the tone for a really, really great afternoon, especially in the penultimate game at Goodison. This might be the last time that several of those people in that stadium are going to be attending a game at Goodison. So I think there will be a feel-good factor to this game. And I think you're right. If it's 0-0 at halftime, there's going to be some cranky fans that are just tired of seeing poor football, and Ryan being one of them, understandably so. So yeah, I imagine that it could get a little cranky there. Chris, could it get so bad that fans are just pulling their seat right up from under them and walking out of the stadium with it?
That has to be if we lose to Southampton, doesn't it?
I know. I was trying to.
You have to have a seat next week.
Seat conversation.
Yes, people are season ticket holders and go, back in my day, when it was standing room only, we didn't need seat numbers. But you need to sit down at the Southampton match. So you can't take them one game too early.
I mean, most people are standing throughout, are they not? Excuse me, I've never been to Goodison, but certainly it would appear that most people
I definitely stand from time to time, but I it's a bit of a blur at this point because I haven't been there for it must be nearly like a decade based on my travels. But you people definitely stand up, especially if you're Park End or at on the Gladys Street side. But it's not consistent. I think you can sit down, stand up, especially if you're in the Bullens and the main stand. It kind of varies.
I love this comment from Emma here. Delep in the shop window today needs to prove he's worth his ridiculous wage demands. I haven't seen an expected wage for him. Are we talking about an excess of 150,000 a week? I don't know what. I haven't seen his wage demands or potential wage demands.
What he gotten 12 goals in 33 matches. That's a bit high. And on the Emma comments, she also mentioned, at basically Gladys Street, people stand up all game, and everywhere else
as it should be.
But I've definitely stood up before when I was in main stand or lower Bullens once. So like you can do it, but if you do it too often, those that sit down probably complain.
Okay, Emma says that he wants
100K.
Yeah, he's on.
Look,
20
that's
now.
what on DCL's on, and he's doing better than DCL. Take that what you will.
Chris, at this point, I would pay 100K a week for a striker that's healthy week in and week out, and it can actually hold the ball up. Which is we don't have either of those things right now.
You either have Beto or you have
get one or the other.
Holding the ball up.
You get DCL, who we know struggles with fitness, and then of course Beto, who has the technical ability of a 10-year-old. So unfortunately,
I want to get your thought on this because I think it was quite an odd reaction where everyone threw Beto under the bus for not shielding that ball from the Everton squad, and there was no accountability from Pickford, who did that delivery when everyone was out of position, and then he was on the record blaming Beto, and you're like, what an odd situation for the captain to throw his teammate under the bus when he was partly accountable. It was really weird to see that. I'm not sure I've heard anyone talk about it.
Yeah, it was. I didn't watch the Chelsea match, to be honest with you. I didn't see it live. I had all the intention of going back and watching it, but then as I listened to some of the post-game commentary and the podcast, I was like, I don't need to see this. So, but I did watch. I did make a point to go back and watch that goal and see how it broke down. Yeah, odd delivery from Pickford for sure, because there was nobody behind Beto at all. So if there is a turnover in that instance, there's just a gaping hole in the middle of the pitch for Chelsea to be able to take that space and create a chance like that. So no, odd for sure. It first and foremost, it falls on Beto, but he has to be put in. Yeah, he has to be put in better situations. I think we've said that. Like, we have to know what he's capable of doing, and that's running the channels and playing physically and doggedly pressing. That's unfortunately Beto's.
But if the striker loses it at the halfway line, how likely is that to be the cause of the goal? Or should that be what situation are you set up in to say, well, the striker gave the ball away at the halfway line and they scored from it? That's kind of where I'm getting at with this.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
He should have done better.
That happens he should have done better, but that happens all the time. That's when you're going to play it long, then you're only going to win. That's a 50-50 ball. You're lucky to win 50% of them, to be completely honest, especially if you don't have someone that's able to win those matchups like DCL is so good at doing. I don't know. It probably a poor look from Pickford. I don't know if anyone else really noticed it outside of you.
It was odd because what people are saying here, I don't disagree. Because is it truly on Pickford? What I was really hinting at was Pickford had other passing options, and if everyone was out of position other than Beto, I know we knock it long all the time, but it's just a very weird situation where like you knock it long and the entire midfield just seemed to have a hole in it, and that was the out clause for the goal. It just seemed a little odd to me.
Yeah,
anyway.
Agreed. I feel bad for Beto because he seems like a good human.
Yeah. And this was the other piece of that, because O'Brien and Branthwaite, they both went out wide to allow I think it was Garner Gay to come in as a short passing option. It was bypassed, and the fullbacks were out high and wide near the halfway line at that moment. So then the midfield was completely open and exposed, and that's what happened.
Yeah, to me, that's the biggest issue, rather than the decision to play it long, as Jordan did. You have to anticipate you're not going to win every one of those balls, so we can't just leave them. We can't leave the midfield wide open like that.
But we're going to have Beto today. So hopefully he holds up a bit better. And what I would really like to see is some well-weighted through balls to Beto. If he takes one or two strikers with him, then all you're saying is, all right, Charlie, are you going to find some gaps? Illiman, are you gonna advance down that left side and cause all sorts of problems with O'Shea, who I think had a lot of trouble handling him last time? He at that part of the season though he was quite central, and they moved him out right to handle him, and I think at times he did it. But Illiman and Jai scored a goal from a really poor clearance back at the day, so it wasn't him just masterclass in that left side on that day. But then again, it's a half season longer. But if it's Njai and Charlie and Beto running at them all day, and then Dwight sitting back a little bit further behind and doing deliveries to him, it could be quite interesting.
Yeah,
But I don't want to get my hopes up too early because I could see it being really a grumpy Goodison for about 30 minutes.
I hope not. I hope it's lively.
I hope not too.
I'm looking forward to this one. I think we'll see. I would imagine we may see DCL and Trimiti together at some point, maybe around the 70th minute mark. I'd also like to see what those two look like together because they both do have some refinement in their game, and I could see them playing well off of each other.
I could only see DCL coming on if we're down by a goal or something and doing aerial bombardment.
Oh, I hope that's not the case. That's not how.
But I don't think he should be coming back in. I think it would be rushed, honestly, to have him in today.
Yeah, I trust David Moyes on this. I don't know what degree he tweaked his hamstring previously. It didn't seem like it was a tear by any means, but an aggravation of some kind, or maybe a slight strain. But yeah, I don't think David Moyes would put him at risk, knowing that he's interested in potentially retaining him for next season. Chris, what would you?
Yep.
We only have a couple minutes left. What is your final take on DCL? I thought it was very convenient that he has fired his agent and that now his representatives are seemingly putting it out in the news that he would be open to coming back. So is this a person who just wants to make sure all options are available to them? Is this a person that has had a change of heart and sees that Everton are on the upswing? Where do you sit with DCL right now?
I don't know about where DCL's at mentally. He's had a kid recently and everything else, so home life has been probably a focus for him. But if he, from an Everton standpoint, we can get money off him if he's not going to go out for a free. So if we sign him for a 1 or 2 year extension with an eye on selling him because we have him under control, we get some value out of him. Right now, he's walking for free.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, DCL needs to go away, but you can do this tactically where you get him on contract with control for a season or two, then move him on, and maybe you sign him on contract and flip him 2 days later for a transfer fee. That's better than for nothing.
Yeah, that's bad business though. I can't imagine another team doing
bad business,
that.
But right. But I'm just saying we want to have DCL. If we don't have attacking options, I think
the
letting
thing
him walk for free is just a shame to me.
What is he asking?
But we do need to Peter's point, we need to drop his wages down because he hasn't been earning them.
That's it. He can't be with us on high wages, and then we hope that his form turns around, and then we're able to offload him. Otherwise, we just get what we continue to have with him. And now we're at the point where his age is no longer a benefit. He's 28. I think, is he nearly 29? That is no longer an ideal age for when you're buying a footballer.
Yeah. And I think the question on his wages, if he's demanding more than what he's on right now, and there's no guarantee that there are the suitors out there, then that's part of it too. Because $100,000 a week averages out to about $5 million a season. I think it turned out to be something to that effect. So you're losing $5 million on keeping him and trying to resell him if no one takes him.
Yeah. Well, times are tough, and he's got mouths to feed. So,
yep. And we have goals to score. So why don't we end it here? We've got about 4 minutes before kickoff, so I think this is a good time. Thanks for everyone for watching. I'll be back on post-match. And it sounds like we might actually have a Ipswich fan who might be able to join us post-match. which we
Is it Ed Sheeran?
Oh no, we're not.
Oh.
We need more subscribers for that.
All right. 2-0 Toffees.
All right. Catch you guys.